All right, Scott. So let's get into what you think Marco said in that speech that was wrong. Let's try and really stay on topic, and yeah, just give us the reasons why you think it's wrong, and then I'll try and give a quick defense of Marco, or or I might even agree with you. So all right, point one. What's the first thing you think that Marco got wrong?
Okay, and I numbered these according to the minute that they were stated by Marco. So you can go to MLMconference.com, see his, I think, 19-minute speech, and follow along with my comments. So the first couple were during the first minute. Um, and he started off with his favorite story about his high school friend that he cheated off on his math test, who joined an MLM, and that broke up their friendship. And, that's just a tiny example of how unethical and immoral Marco is, and he is the last guy that should be leading the charge as far as being anti-MLM, because he's totally unethical and immoral. I mean, he's a cocaine dealer. Come on, he's talked on his show about um, stealing from various companies over the years. He's the wrong guy to be leading the charge. So that's my first comment. Is um, he started his whole speech off by saying, "Yeah, I cheated off this guy on a test."
Okay. Yeah, I don't think the examples that he's given of doing, you call it defrauding. I'd call it sort of playing the system a little bit with big corporations. I don't consider that to be a big deal. I think a lot of his subscribers agree with me, but maybe I just lack morals and ethics, and maybe that's a bad reflection on me. But yeah, I don't think that's a such a bad thing. To be frank, anybody who comes out and fights the Amway Corporation, I've got a lot of respect for. I've got a lot of respect for you, Scott, because you actually had a legal battle with the Amway Corporation, and that's something that I want to make a video with you about down the track. But anyone who fights the Amway Corporation, I'm sort of prepared to overlook cheating on a maths test in primary school, or getting a free hot dog, or returning expired milk. I don't see them as a big deal, but maybe you're right.
Or being a cocaine dealer.
I don't have any evidence of that. Maybe we need to have a video where you show the evidence of Scott being a cocaine dealer. But you know what? If a guy's a cocaine dealer, goes to jail, comes out, and then he fights Amway, I've got respect for that. I've got, as I said, anyone who fights the Amway Corporation, I've got extreme respect for. One of the things I most respect about you is the fact that you fought the Amway Corporation. You went into court and you fought them. That to me, there's almost nothing that you could do that would gain respect more than that. I respect people that fight Amway, but I don't think, from what I know, Marco said, I don't consider him to be highly unethical. But maybe that's a reflection of me. Maybe you've got higher ethics than I do. Maybe it's a generational thing too. Um, Marco's 27, I'm 40, so there's a bit of a generational gap there. You're older again, so maybe we were just all raised differently. That's why we maybe have different ideas and thoughts and different sort of moral standards,
Well, he
maybe.
made his he made his own video about being a cocaine dealer. It was a 2.5 hour video.
I haven't seen that, Scott. So,
Well, he took it down, obviously.
okay, have.
Um, I have a copy of it.
Oh, I'd be happy for me and you to go through it and commentate on it together. Um, but yeah, from what I know about Marco is, I don't think he's that unethical. You know, returning expired milk. I find that maybe I'm a bad person. I find that funny, and I feel like these big corporations that make huge profits at the expense of their workers and that sort of thing. If someone can get a free liter of milk out of them, I actually applaud that. But maybe that's just me being unethical. Maybe that's a bad reflection on me. Maybe it's the fact that you're older than me and you kids were raised differently when you were young. Maybe, but I don't consider that to be a big deal.
Well,
Um,
it's an even bigger deal when he's talking about it in front of an audience
yep,
and essentially encouraging them to do the same thing. It's one thing to do it yourself and be quiet about it.
yep.
It's quite another to do it and then talk about it in front of a bunch of other people, and basically encourage them to do the same thing. Now the small problem becomes much bigger. I mean, we even have stores here in the United States that are literally shutting down because people go in there and just take stuff, and they're
No,
being overrun. They can't make money.
I get your point
So
with a small mum and dad store, but your WalMarts and stuff. I consider them to be quite greedy. My view is that they take advantage of their workers, and the fact that the trade union movement in the USA is almost non-existent now. They know their workers aren't going to strike, therefore it's very easy to take advantage of them, and that's what they're doing. So if someone like Marco can get a free liter of milk, I honestly, I clap that and I cheer that. But again, so right, so you've got concerns over Marco's ethics and morals, and that's one of the reasons why you think he's the wrong person to be leading the charge against the MLM industry. Is that accurate?
yeah, plus he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Okay, so he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he lacks morals and ethics. Do you want to move on to the next point now?
Yeah, he kind of made the same point both in the first minute and the in the second minute. He said he didn't back then when he, his high school friend and so forth. He didn't know what a pyramid scheme was, and I would say he still doesn't know what a legitimate MLM is. And I talk about it every week on my show, and he just makes fun of it as far as retail sales and tool scam, but he doesn't understand it, and so he just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
He's ignorant. He doesn't even want to learn, and he throws around the P word, pyramid, has no idea what it means. And neither do most of the other anti-MLM Huns, by the way.
Well,
They
hey,
they could not
sorry.
give you a definition of an illegal pyramid if their
So
life depended on it.
you said before that the only people who are doing good anti-MLM work are yourself and Scene Munger did one good video. So that would mean not some, that would mean all don't understand the definition. Or are there anti-MLMers who understand it, or is it just you and Scene Munger? Or does Scene
As
Munger?
far Well, I don't think Sean spent a lot of time on retail sales.
Yep,
He was really focusing on the tool scam because a pyramid does not have anything to do with tool scams. It has to do with lack of retail sales.
yep.
So I don't know of anyone that really focuses on that.
So you're saying on YouTube, you're the only anti-MLM YouTuber or person with a YouTube channel that understands a pyramid scheme.
I would say I'm not an anti-MLMer. I would say that I'm pro MLM when it's done right, and I'm anti-MLM when it's done wrong.
Okay, all right.
And we say that on the show every week too, for almost 8 years on a weekly basis. So these labels of pro and anti don't fit me.
Yep. All right. So
I have criteria for what an illegal pyramid is.
yep.
It's lack of retail sales. And
I'll rephrase it. You're the only person with a channel on YouTube about MLMs who understands how a pyramid works. Is that accurate?
as far, as far as I know, yes.
Okay. And that includes me too. So my channel, MLM Fraud, I don't understand it either, and my channel is also way off the mark, and I need to be educated, and my channel needs to be sort of fixed up. Is that a fair description?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep. Okay. So are you happy with that point? You want to move to the next point?
Yeah, minute two. He was talking about how they use words like to substitute for MLM, like network marketing, affiliate marketing, in different terms like this,
Yep.
as if it was a new thing. They've been doing that for decades. They've been using alternate words for decades. But Marco, since he just recently came on the scene, thinks that these are new things. They're not. They've been around forever. Not literally forever, but for decades.
Yeah.
And so again, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He thinks he's discovered things that are brand new, and they're things that have been around for decades, and he just doesn't get it.
Okay. My take on what he said was I don't think he's saying this is brand new and only just started it. I think he was saying that they use different terms, which they do. They use direct selling. It's not direct selling. Network marketing. They use lots of different words and terms and definitions to fool you and to trick you about what's really happening. But okay, I guess we can agree to disagree on that. I think that Marco is just making a blanket statement that they do this. I don't think he's saying it's new.
Well,
Maybe.
that's how he framed it. If
Okay.
you go to the second minute in his presentation, listen to
I'll do
his
that.
words, listen to his words, and see if you come to a different conclusion.
Do you think they're deliberately changing the words and calling it different things to mislead people? Is he right on that point?
He's right that they use different terms and often inappropriately.
Are they
Um,
doing it to trick and deceive and misguide you?
I think they're doing it because they know that certain words are better known than others, and so they try to, yeah, trick and deceive people
Yep.
on what something is by using a different word to describe it. But it's nothing new. That's my point.
Okay.
It's not that
So you're half
it's
agreeing
not
with
that
Marco then.
they're not using those words. It's just they've been doing it for a long, long time,
Yep.
and he couched it in the manner that they've just done it recently, and he discovered it. And boy, is he ever smart. He's not.
Okay. So you half agree though. You agree that they're using different terms and to trick people, but you don't agree with him because you're saying that he's saying that it's new. So you agree that they do that, but you're disagreeing with him that it's new.
Correct.
Correct. Awesome. So you're happy with that? You want to move to the next point?
Yeah, the next one is also in the second minute. He said that MLM does not require selling, and it does. It's just that a lot of MLMs don't sell, and the FTC does not hold them accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also argue that recruiting is another form of selling, right? You're selling somebody the opportunity.
You're selling the
Now,
dream.
the problem is when you're selling the opportunity, you're not selling products to customers, then it's an illegal pyramid. So there's a problem there, but it's not that MLMs do not require selling. That's just a false statement um, because they do. Amway does. They just don't do it
Well,
in the manner that they should
it's
or
not
to the
policed.
level that they should.
Yeah, it's not policed, and there probably is no way to really police it and enforce it. You know, to know for sure that this percentage has been sold to consumers as opposed to the person selling to themselves or their family member buying off them because they want to help them with their new business.
Well, there is a way to police it, and I said this in my input to the FTC last May of 2022, on my Facebook page, first top story, 28 pages. Part of what's in there is that the FTC could allow people like Tina.org, truthandadvertising.org, and also the was it DSRCC, whatever it is, organization that supposedly oversees MLMs for the DSA and the Better Business Bureau. They could have them spot check, sample people that have left MLMs and ask those questions. Did you guys sell? What were you told about selling the products? And they could easily enforce these kinds of rules. And it wouldn't take a lot of extra FTC resources to do it. And this is what these organizations want to do. They want to go find this information,
But but
and so it could easily be done like this.
but if you were to check 1,000 like that, that wouldn't prove that across the board they're under the levels. That would prove that.
No, you would take a sample, and if that sample indicated that this was a common occurrence, then you would start an investigation. The FTC would actually start an investigation and see if they happen to find some outliers, some exceptions, or if this was common throughout the MLM, the lack of retail sales. But those sample points is what would indicate whether or not the FTC would do an investigation.
Yep. Okay. Well, maybe. Yeah, I agree with what he's saying there that they don't require selling or not selling. I mean, it's almost like playing with semantic word game there. They're not selling. They don't whether they require it or yeah. I think Marco's right, but yeah. Um, that's your opinion and that's my opinion, I guess. Are you happy to move on to the next point?
Yeah, in the third minute, he said that
Sorry.